All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. Merely Beau and the great Z. How you living, buddy?
I'm great. I love Thursdays. It means we're starting week 4 of the NFL season. We get to hear from our coordinators. We've got the Kevin Stefanski show tonight.
That's
Browns
right.
Live tonight. So it feels like this is where business has picked up. A beautiful day.
Look at it out there. Look at it out there.
It's glorious.
Flexing. Ohio flexing right now.
It really is a nice flex.
Yeah. This is our time.
I know.
Our time to shine.
I'd love to even hit the links, but my boys are the kid and Sims are off on their annual golf trip. They go for
Where'd
a
they
week.
go? They went for a week?
They go for a week, and they do this whole Ryder Cup thing. It's insane. It sounds awesome. And I'm like,
That's outrageous.
Could you guys ever do this maybe? I wouldn't want to go for a week.
Do it in
feels long,
April.
But can you do this some other time?
I go in March and April.
That's where you go.
It would be great.
Yeah,
I would love
this-
to.
Yeah.
I thrive. It's 5 days of stupidity.
I think we all know you
And
thrive.
I might need a
Gimmick.
week to detox.
Both are appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. A week is a long time. I'm a 2 nights, 3 most. I don't, unless you're going to Scotland, anywhere domestic, it's
domestic,
no more than 2 or 3
But they
nights.
always go in, and one of the guys, the Crust, Rusty, he scouts out, and they play elite golf course. I mean, it is an elite experience.
Yeah. They got
Coaches
a
up.
little bit of this,
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of a pull. All right, let's hear from Joe Woods.
You guys are down.
Zimmer likes to run the ball with Cook coming back.
Yes. You can see they're very good at what they do. They have a variety of runs, different ways to try to attack you. We want to be very good up front, be disciplined in our gaps. You see Delvin Cook, he's got to be one of the best backs in the league, so we're definitely going to have our hands full with him.
Why's Kirk Cousins been so efficient? I think he's completing like 74% of his passes, which is ridiculous. And then he's also not throwing an interception yet.
Yeah, he's played a long time in this league, and you can see when you're watching him on tape, he does a great job understanding what the defense is and then going through his progressions. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. If it's not open, he'll check the ball down. So right now, he's doing a great job for them in terms of operating that offense.
This will be Greedy Williams' first start with you as defensive coordinator. Are you still learning about him?
A little bit. I've seen enough of him in practice just to know what he's capable of doing. He's athletic. He has length. He's able to be aggressive for us in terms of playing man coverage. It's more really the physical aspect of it, just coming off the shoulder. I think he's confident. I think when he stepped in the game, he made a couple plays, so he'll be ready to go.
Joe, speaking to that, how well was Greg Newsom playing for you guys? And I guess on the flip side, how nice is it to have a guy like Greedy who does have starting experience who can step in?
Greg was doing a great job for us as a young guy coming in, very confident, very smart, picked up the system. We moved him around, played him outside, inside, and he was up for it. Towards the end there, he was going against Odell a few times, so I think that helped him as well. But Greedy's very capable. He'll be able to step in. We have some other players, so he can stay versatile on defense. So I think everything will move smoothly.
The attacking style that you use against the Bears, can you make that, your signature going forward?
Yeah, really, early in the game, the same exact calls, same exact protection we had against Houston, it was the same stuff. I just think we did a better job in terms of executing. And then we got them behind the chains, so we had some more things we could get to. So we ran some more pressure, gave them some different looks, and the guys executed. I got to give them all the credit.
Because the players seem to be like pushing for more and more of that.
Yeah, it's always in. It's just a matter of how the game's going, how the guys are executing. And again, I just give credit to the players, the coaches. Thought we put together a good plan for Chicago, and came out with a win and did a great job.
Joe, on the players, 9 sacks. Is this what you guys envisioned when you brought in Clowney and Tack and Malik Jackson and, to join with Miles and the guys you already had?
Yes. It's all about, to me, rushing coverage. When you have guys in the back end that can get tight and play man coverage, and you have guys up front that can rush where you rush forward. If you need to bring pressure, bring pressure. But when you have that combination, you can do a lot of things defensively.
Did you find it unusual after the fact that there were no turnovers? I know one was taken away, but that was so dominant yardage-wise and sack-wise.
Yeah, we looked at the game, and there's 2 or 3 calls I wish I could have back, and there were some couple things that we didn't execute well. A lot of stuff we did, but there was a few things we had to clean up. But at the end of the game, I had no idea. I looked up at the scoreboard, what's that? And then I didn't know anything until I went in the locker room. Somebody said something to me. But we pride ourselves in wanting to take away the football, and we haven't really got that done the first 3 weeks. So we have to get better in that area.
Joe, what did you think last week when Miles talked about being frustrated that other guys weren't taking advantage of their opportunities when he was being double or triple teamed? And then for him to go out and have the kind of game that he did after saying that, how important is it?
I really didn't hear that. I know somebody said that, but I never really heard that. But I look at Miles as the leader of our defense. I think he's a guy in the locker room that everybody respects. So if that's something that he was upset about, something that he said, I'm sure the guys listened. They all did their job. I think we were cleaner. Our whole procedure during the week or the whole process, I think guys understood things a little bit better, and they executed better on game day.
Joe Tack was out here earlier, and he talked about a kind of a cool moment when he came back to the team and the D-line applauded and stuff. Were you in there when it happened by any chance?
I was not, but he's one of our brothers, and the D-line room, they're very close. And I know he may be going through some struggles, or he may have been going through some struggles, and those guys are always there to support him. And right now he's doing a good job. I think he's getting comfortable. He's playing well for us, and we're going to continue to do more things just to create some one-on-ones and utilize them in coverage as well.
Joe, when you look at kind of that support that he got, not just the D-line, but from AB, Kevin, and you, and all those other guys, I mean, where does that start in this organization, that kind of culture?
It's a family atmosphere. I think it starts from the top, from the ownership, the whole way down through the building. And that was the one thing when I got here that you could see right away. I mean, you feel very comfortable. You feel like you're part of a family. And that just passes down to our players. And I know we try to build relationships with all our players, and I think that's what Tack was really talking about.
So you think you've established the fact that you care about them off the field? I mean, you notice that as part of that too?
Yeah, and you want to know what's going on in each player's life. You know, you have those moments on the field where you just have that one-on-one and just ask them how their family's doing or what's going on in their life, because you want to be able to help them. There's a lot of things, a lot of stress with players off the field. You'll know where it's coming from, so you just want to be there, ear for them to lean on or to talk to, and just help them any way you can.
Joe, JOK is grading out phenomenally so far. Is that showing up on tape for you guys as well?
Yes, and it's, you know, we're trying to keep the menu light, not only for him but for everybody, because we just want to put a premium on execution. But his athleticism showing up on the field, not only in the run game but in space, whether he's in zone coverage, man coverage. He can beat guys one-on-one when we blitz them, so it's nice to have him. We're going to continue to use them in different ways.
Kind of off of that, I saw a lot of Elijah Lee and Mac Wilson out there in the two sets when you had the dime. Is that, I'm not trying to say, you know, finding JOK some snaps out there, but, like, I guess what is that view of the linebacker position is perfect for you?
We've been like that going back to last year. With different personnel packages, we try to get different guys in the game, and at the same time keep the guys fresh. You know, they're playing defense, they're playing on special teams. So we feel comfortable with the rotation, but we're going to try to get guys out there in the right package to take advantage of their skill sets.
You expect that Taki back?
We're going to see. It's day to day, so hopefully we do get him back.
You've talked rather consistently when it comes to JOK about taking it slow with him.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, when does the plate need to start having more on it for him?
Yeah, I think it's week to week. You know, we can do stuff with him in base. We can create. There's multiple packages we can create for him, but there's only so much that you can handle. Because when you get on the field, you have a certain number of reps. So if you're giving him a lot of stuff to do, how many times can you rep it for him to be comfortable doing it? So, and that's with just our defense in general. Because we get up there and there's a lot of things we draw up on the board, but you want enough to affect the offense on game day, but not so much where you can't execute it.
So to clarify, that's more growth that he kind of needs to do as a player?
Yeah, and that's going to come through experience. You know, his third game, you know, so the more experience he gets, the more things he can handle. We'll add some stuff.
So Miles gets 4.5 sacks. What do you tell him he did wrong?
He missed a couple.
He did. He was kicking himself after. Did he miss a couple?
No, he did. He was in there. No, he played a great game. Miles is a great player. I think he's a great example for all the guys on our team of this somebody you see him out here working hard in practice, and you see that translate to what he did on Sunday on the field. So hopefully all the guys step up, follow his lead, and we continue to get some sacks.
So how nice was it to not only see him do that, but for Clowney to have the game he did?
It was good. That's, you know, we have to rush together as a unit, and sometimes a guy might be the sacrificial lamb, but on the next call, maybe it's for him. So as long as they work together, I think they're going to create opportunities. But it was really good to see him get some sacks as well.
You mentioned that the run game of the Vikings.
Yeah.
Do you have to kind of pick and choose because they have those two guys at receiver where you want to devote your attention?
That's always the situation, right? They want to get you down there where you load up the box and then take advantage of you one-on-one. So we'll have to have a good mix in terms of what we do coverage-wise.
I mean, is that as good a duo of receivers as you guys see?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Joe, obviously you're not going to face a rookie quarterback every week. Cousins probably going to get rid of it a lot faster.
Yeah.
But do you think that what your D was able to do, especially the front, you think that can, I don't know, if confidence or any kind of spark that can be carried forward, or is it just truly clean slate?
Yeah, I'm really more concerned about the process, because I think if the process is right, then you'll get the results. Now, the results might not be the same as they were last week. That's something that's really unusual. But I think as long as we go into the game and we play our best, we'll always give ourselves a chance to win. And I feel like, based on last week, I think the players understand that.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
You guys are up.
You guys have a good day. Enjoy this weather.
All right, good stuff from Coach there. And I think this is something that, that we talked about leading into this season, that there was a certain segment who did not understand what Joe Woods did last year or just how capable he was. Now, we know Pedro did. Pedro knew.
Oh, yeah. He knew what he was capable of.
He knew what he was capable of. But he now has a full deck to operate with. And now Newsome's out, and that's not ideal, obviously. But because of the way this roster's been built, Greedy Williams will jump right in there, and you're going to have a guy who's more than capable, a second-round pick out of LSU, and getting back, and has certainly flashed. But you now are seeing, you saw against Chicago, and I'm not naive enough to think it's going to be like that every week. You played a rookie quarterback with a coach who did not do anything to protect him or put him in the best position to succeed. That being said, there's certain finite things that our defense has that you can't out-scheme. You can't out-scheme great coverage. You can't out-scheme great versatility. You can't out-scheme it when it's married to an elite pass rush. So we have all those things, and that's not going anywhere.
No, and Joe Woods deserves a lot of credit, and I thought, frankly, he could have been a lot like Chesty Gibbe there had he really wanted to, and he didn't. He played it cool, obviously. Look, he doesn't care about having a dominant performance in Week 3. He's hoping to have it in Week 3 of the playoffs.
Is that a shot at Gibbe early on in the show? It feels like a little bit of a shot.
It was not a shot.
That's fine. I didn't have a great week.
No,
it's all right. But when I do, you will know it.
I'm sad that there's no Chesty.
Remember, I've never had this before.
Who doesn't want
I don't know how to handle it.
I don't know how to handle it.
You're the kid when you go, little Bobby, act like you've been there before. But, Coach, I haven't.
Haven't
been there.
Don't know.
I want nothing more. I want you to go 5-0 every week the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Like that would be
amazing.
And it's possible. It's on the table.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say you can't do it.
No, there's not.
That's what I'd like to see. But,
no victory laps, though, for Joe Woods because he knows lots of.
But what he did from a schematic standpoint that was so impressive, yes, our guys dominated some of their guys in one-on-one situations. But we also got free rushers when they were doing 7-man max protects because of the scheme and the alignment and what they were expecting and versus what we actually did. So I thought this was a masterclass from Joe Woods. He's got the horses now as JOK continues to improve. You lose Newsome. Thank goodness for Greedy and the depth that you have there at corner. But this is a tall test. This is an excellent offense. This is an excellent, excellent offense. You have a quarterback playing incredibly well at an elite level. We talked about those numbers over the last 10 games. He's second in the NFL in passing yards, third in touchdowns. Last 10 games, he has a 26-2 touchdown interception ratio. Is that good? Sounds like that's pretty good.
Quite
completing
good.
70% of his passes, averaging over 300 yards a game. You've got Thielen, you have Jefferson, you have Dalvin Cook. Conklin showed up last week, 7 catches at tight end, and had a very nice game for them. So this is a different animal. This is a team that gets the ball out quickly. About 60% of their throws are out in under 2 seconds.
Yeah.
This is a team that, and that's the 6th highest rate in terms of what percentage of plays to get the ball out quick in the league. So he's going to get it out quick. They've only given up 5 sacks despite not having a great offensive line. So this is a game where it's going to be imperative that the coverage is tight, that if you do play those zones, that you are breaking and you're getting there as the ball gets there for either PBUs or immediate tackles. This is a team that has 500 of their 929 passing yards coming after the catch. So we've got to be on it. This is a real test and a challenge for our defense. But as you said, we have things at all 3 levels that are elite. We have elite traits at all three levels of this defense.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And the good news is you've played an offense that's better than this one. You've already played one that's better than this.
Yes.
And more explosive than this. These guys are very good. They have not played a great defense. Far from it. They've played the Bengals, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. Those are their 3 games that they've played to this point in this season. So they have not played this is the best offense we've played by a wide margin since the one we played in week 1. They have not faced anything in the vicinity of us defensively. Not close.
The difference with this offense and the Chiefs' offense is that they can run the ball.
They can.
Now, the Chiefs are much more dangerous in terms of their
Well, the difference between their offense and the Chiefs is that the Chiefs have Superman at quarterback. So that's the other.
That's also a big one. And they have Superman at wide receiver, and they have Superman at tight end.
Yeah, they have the Justice League
Yes.
over there. So that's,
the Avengers.
Let's not feel too sorry for Kansas City for their inability to run the ball.
I won't.
But yeah, look, this is a fun game, and it's the start of a 6-game test that is a test, man. This is a stretch, and it starts on Sunday. But of course, we'll take it one game at a time. We will look back on the first month, get you some latest update on injury news. As Z mentioned, it is matchup day. The great Nick Shuck is going to join the program as well. All of this, you'll hear from Coach Van Pelt as well in the second hour of the program, and a fun Thursday nighter as well that we'll get into a little bit. So we're off and running here on a Thursday. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau Bishop here for my guys at Weather Seal Home Services. Do you have a leaky roof, perhaps loose shingles or roof discoloration? Don't head into the winter with a bad roof. Call Weather Seal Home Services now. Get a beautiful new roof before the season ends. And you can choose between free gutters or Gutter Guard. Also get up to 7 years, 0 interest with approved credit. Trust in Weather Seal to do the job right for the best price and the lowest monthly payments. It's as simple as that. Give them a call today at 877-351-SEAL or go to weathersealhomeservices.com. From an injury standpoint, we know that Greg Newsome will be down. You heard Joe Woods being asked about Sione Takitaki, that he is day-to-day on that front. And so from a defensive standpoint, that everything else is known, right? We know Walker is out, and then beyond that, it's everything else seems to be pretty clear. And then offensively, the question will just be about Jed. Is he the only one that's kind of – I mean, I don't know that he gave it a go the last 2 weeks. It's just a question of, do you want to give him – you mentioned the Hubbard stuff yesterday. I think that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think we'll hear from Alex Van Pelt, but I think the expectation is that he will be ready to go this week, and that it will be, you know, they'll take it as they go, but knowing that if they need to make a decision in game, having Chris Hubbard there makes that just a little bit easier.
Yes. Yeah, it certainly does. As for them, they had Dalvin Cook available yesterday.
Limited, yep.
So, but that would lead you to believe that he would be ready to give it a go.
My sense of it is not that they took, you know, you wouldn't say that they took the Seattle Seahawks lightly, but my sense of it is that they were getting themselves ready for this and having Dalvin saying, let's not push it. We want you back here when you're ready to go. If he put in a limited, if he goes limited all week, I would expect that he would play. And if he gets obviously upgraded to a full at any point, then he'll definitely play.
A lot of connections in this game. Obviously, 9 coaches on our staff. Was it Ellis who wrote it in plain, who did the story in Cleveland.com? I want to say it was Cleveland.com today had the story. I want to say Ellis wrote it, talking to all the people back in Minnesota about. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
About that, how long Kevin was there. And it's not, of course, it's not just Coach Stefanski. It's 9 of our coaches were in Minnesota. So there's a lot of cross-pollination there. There's also the cross-pollination. I heard Odell this morning talking about Justin Jefferson and that he was like a little brother to him. And so there's the LSU connection there as well. So this one will have it'll be special for a lot of our guys.
Here are the connections. Yes, there are a ton of them. Stefanski, Joe Woods, Prefer, Jeff Howard, Chad O'Shea, Stephen Bravo Brown, Brandon Lynch, Drew Petzing, Kevin Rogers, the senior offensive assistant. So that in and of itself is wild in my mind. Derek Keys was a strength and conditioning coach here. He's with the Vikings now. Players, Greg Joseph was on the Browns, their kicker. Sheldon Richardson, it'll be great to see him again.
Oh, gosh.
Case Keenum, of course, led the Vikings to the NFC North title and to the NFC Championship game in 2017. So this is it's wild, the connections there. And then beyond it, you have people who were teammates all over the place and coming back together. And, yeah, it is a very, very connected football game. And it's one that, you know, they're going to know what we like to do on offense.
Yeah.
Because they go against it. We know what they like to do on offense because we go against it. And, of course, the familiarity with Kevin Stefanski and their staff and vice versa, they're familiar with him, given that he was a play caller for them in 2019.
You ought to know Zim's tendencies defensively. I mean, he would know it. He would know what he wants to do, what he doesn't want to know. And then it just comes back to the iocane powder thing.
It does.
Do you overthink yourself, right, on all of that?
I think it's just
but you know, it's just sometimes it's, you know, paralysis by analysis. It can be too, where you try to outthink what you know.
In many ways, though, I think this is going to be a game that is built on execution.
Yeah.
In many ways, they're going to know what's coming, but when we're sound, they can't stop it. Vice versa.
Yeah.
This is going to be a game that is all about execution and the ability to overcome without much of an element of surprise. Now, that's going to be a lot of, as you mentioned as well, you think that this is A, but it's really going to be a B because we're going to put this little wrinkle on the back end of something that you're very familiar with seeing. But 2 very, very good offenses. I think we have the better defense. I think that we have significantly better offensive line. But they play around that. They scheme around that. The ball comes out very, very quickly. And their receivers are excellent.
Yeah. No, they are. I'm glad you with all of the talk about Coach going back and all the staff, a quick couple of minutes on Sheldon Richardson, who was a joy here, an absolute joy.
A pleasure.
And I will never forget our first interview with him. He had that beautiful orange Montclair vest that was like $75,000.
Yeah.
And he sat in here, and we did an entire interview. He's the nicest guy ever. And when we get done, we're like, God, who does he sound just like? He sounds just like somebody. And, of course, months previous to that, we had Mr.
Mr.
Dog.
Yeah.
Mr. Dog in studio, and they sounded exactly the same. And so
he's like, "Now don't compare me to."
No.
But not in your activities.
No, not in your activities. But he was a great person here. He was a great leader here, and he played really well here. And I don't know if people realize how relentlessly he played, how hard he played. People were always worried about his sack numbers. I always thought that was silly.
That wasn't what he
was. If you
was.
watch the game and pay attention to who he was integral. In any success we had defensively, he was integral to it.
He was available.
Yes.
He was reliable. He played at a high level. He played hard. He was loved in the locker room. Sheldon Richardson, class act, and it's going to be great to see him. It'll be joyous to see Sheldon, and I think our players are excited to see him because they know on the other side, he's going to be woofing when he's out there, and he's kind of in their defensive tackle rotation behind Michael Pierce and Davlin Tomlinson. He's playing, 25 snaps a game or so. So he's going to get out there and get in the mix, and I'm sure there will be some pleasantries exchanged. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Sheldon's great guy.
Yeah, and for both teams, just with all of that, it does boil down to a critical game for both. Critical. Every game in the NFL is critical. It's critical for us.
Yes.
The stretch that we're about to embark on. They're trying to dig out of an early season hole where they feel like maybe their record should be better than it is. So there's a lot to this one, to say the least. And those were your OBM Hot Topics. Ohio Business Machine, preferred copier provider of your Cleveland Browns. They have all the X's and O's for your office. You can call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Nick Shuck.
Do you know what the only thing, though, this game's missing?
What?
This should have been a Cole reunion.
I don't want to get into that.
Very sad.
I don't even know.
Honestly, that's why we need to go kick the teeth in.
Oh, boy. It's a Thursday. Would you look at this?
Senior
Goodness gracious.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Is that so? It's a navy. It's a beautiful, like
a
indigo
navy
coat.
Yeah.
It's
looks
a
like some
darker
window
pant,
panes, some window painting
window
on there.
pane, yeah.
Sure.
And then it's a nice, we know the shoes he wears.
English leather.
Nice English leather. An English saddle leather.
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
I mean, you don't know if a steeplechase is going to break out. Be prepared.
You need to be.
It could happen at any point. Get on a fox hunt. At any point. Be ready. Senior swag. Boy, the bottle. He sent me a picture of the. He's doing well for. He's doing real well.
You just need to avoid boar on the floor, and you're good.
That's it. Nick Shuck up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. You know, if you're sick and tired of your outdated kitchen, it's the perfect time to upgrade to a new modern design. At Northeast Factory Direct, cabinets include all the upgrades: solid wood, full extension drawer glides, cushion closed drawers and doors, and the best part, the process is simple. All you got to do, you make an appointment, you bring in some basic measurements, and a kitchen designer is going to walk you through the design on your own, on their interactive big screen, and you can see how it's going to look in your space. That's a big win. The appointment and the design, those are free. There's no obligation there. They'll let you take it with you. Also have 0% financing available. So if you're thinking about remodeling your kitchen, go to northeastfactorydirect.com and schedule your appointment today. And with that, we head out on the hotline for a little man we like to refer to as Nick Shuck.
Nick Shuck, there
Yes,
he is.
Yes. Great friend of the program, NFL Network and NFL.com analyst. All right, let's start here. One of the things that we started the show with on Monday, my friend, was the realization and acknowledging that you played a rookie quarterback and a coach who didn't do anything to put him in a position to succeed. But I do think that you can still say that this is how Joe Woods wants to play defensive football. With the front four that he has, the stuff that he did with Miles and Jadeveon, the fact that Grant Delpit can cover Allen Robinson in the slot, that Ronnie Harrison, Delpit, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah all fly, John Johnson on the back end. This is what Joe Woods was hired to do, and he was finally able to do it on Sunday. What did you make of what you saw from Joe's plan and his attack and what this defense can be?
It was such a change, I think, in appearance from one week to the next. I mean, when they played Houston in week 2, they were basically content to give the Texans what they wanted underneath and just kind of prevent any big plays. And Brandon Cook's presence in that offense necessitates that to a degree, but I thought it was a little bit disheartening to see them just with a lack of overall aggression and not much creativity in the front seven. And then you get the opposite, this past week. And granted, you're playing a team that, is starting Jason Peters, the left tackle, who, should be retired. I mean, he signed with the Eagles last year to come in and play guard and then only kicked out the tackle out of necessity. And then the Bears are basically putting him in the same position, and he's just not adequate. Putting him one-on-one against Myles Garrett is going to get you sacked 9 times in a game and 4 from Myles. So the result, I think, wasn't surprising when you look at that matchup, but it was very encouraging to see him get more creative, get more aggressive, send guys on blitzes, get JOK in a situation where he can kind of spy and then finish off with a blitz to pressure and sack the quarterback. You get Ronnie Harrison involved. It's encouraging because personnel-wise, that's a defense that should be able to do that. They just need to be deployed as such. So after a week in which you had some serious concerns about how the defense could hold up against a team with more offensive skill than that of the Texans, you got a resounding answer that you hope will carry forward. I don't expect him to play as well this week against a much better Vikings team, but it's positive for sure going forward.
This was the single most dominating from a yardage standpoint performance in the 75-year history of the Cleveland Browns. And Nick, the crowd was so into it. Cleveland loves good offense, but it loves dominating defense. And it was a wild ride to be there and be a part of it. Were you in attendance or were you watching that one?
I was watching from about 2 blocks away, which is funny because every time the Browns score, the fireworks go off, right? And I can sit back and count how many times I hear a boom to know whether they kicked a field goal or scored a touchdown before I end up seeing it on my screen. 'Cause, I got 3 games going at once every Sunday in the early window. So, I'm watching everything, but I just hear boom, boom, and I stop and I go, all right, 3, 4. Oh, it's a touchdown. Okay. As opposed to a field goal. So, it's an interesting way to take in a game, from just a couple blocks away.
What did you think of the Myles Garrett chants?
I saw those online later, and I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I'm a guy who grew up going to games there, and we chanted much worse things when I was a kid than they did on Sunday. and those fans here, it doesn't take much to walk around among Browns fans and see all the 95 jerseys and know how much people around here love him, or see all the people that show up for, his dog meetups when they all meet up in the park. They love Myles Garrett. This town would love any good football player who also shows them love back, and Myles definitely does that, and I think he did when he signed that extension as well. They feel this is a player who is excellent, who is in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, and also loves being a Cleveland Brown, and that's all they can ask for.
Nick, let's flip the script on this. We're a month in. You have 3 turnovers against Kansas City, and you still cover that week in week one, and you feel like you would have won the game if you don't have those turnovers. You've won the last two games in different ways. You certainly feel like a Super Bowl contender. I know we've talked to you about it. You feel that way as well. What are you waiting to see from this team as they embark on a pretty difficult 6-game stretch starting this Sunday in Minnesota? What do you have questions about?
I want to know if they can start it faster offensively. They did in week one against the Chiefs. I was blown away by how efficient they were offensively in the first half of that game. And since then, they just haven't been that team, and it's taken them a little bit to get going. And whether it's they can't get things going on the ground initially, or they struggle through the air, or in week two they kind of lean too much, I think, on the pass, got a little too cute with the offense in the first half before going back to what works. I want to see them put together a complete 4-quarter offensive game. They put together about 2.5 quarters in Kansas City, and then about 2 in each, maybe 3, 2.5 in each of the last 2 games. I want to see all 4, and I think they're going to need it against the Vikings. I know we look at the Vikings as a 1-2 team, but they very easily could be 3-0 if a couple things had bounced their way in the first 2 weeks. If former Brown Greg Joseph had made the game-winning field goal in week 2 against the Cardinals, we'd be talking about a different team in terms of record. So they're going to get tested. I mean, the next 3 games are tough. I don't know about Denver yet. That's a month away, but I'm not sold on them yet just because of who they've beaten so far.
Yep.
But the slate does not get any easier. The Vikings are going to be tough. Chargers are going to be tough. The Cardinals, we know what they bring offensively, so it's definitely going to be a test.
It is, but it's one where you have to feel like the Browns are up to the test. I think this one is going to be a little bit of a shootout. In fact, perhaps the next 2 games, because that's a pretty darn good offense down in L.A. with the Chargers and Justin Herbert at the quarterback position. But Cousins playing so efficiently. It looks like Cook's on track to play. Jefferson, Thielen, they've been putting points on the board. Now, they haven't faced a defense as talented as ours, but 1 week after Chandler Jones picked up 5 sacks against Tennessee, they kept him away from Kirk Cousins, and we're a short field goal away from beating a team that a lot of people are high on in Arizona.
Yeah, and the offense is rolling by taking the underneath stuff. I mean, Kirk Cousins
very
last
much
week threw
so.
for over 320 yards for Kirk Cousins last week. Not a single deep target of 20-plus air yards in the entire game. So he's efficient. And the thing is Kirk Cousins gets a bad rap, and I'm not going to take all this time to kind of stump for him, but I will say that his reputation doesn't quite match his output. Statistically, even in the last 3 or 4 years, he's been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL in the advanced metrics. And I think you're starting to see that kind of come to life in this offense as well. I mean, last week they didn't even have Dalvin Cook. They still rushed for over 100 yards with Alexander Madison, and they ran it almost at will. I mean, they went on multiple long drives in the second half to overcome a 10-point deficit at halftime and end up pulling away and winning by 13 against the Seahawks team that a lot of people respect, or at least did respect going into that game. So I think they're definitely capable of putting up points. Their defense in terms of total yardage is near the bottom of the league, so I think it's an opportunity for the Browns as well. And you might be right. They might be in line for a shootout, especially with Greg Newsome not going to be able to play this week in covering those 2 receivers in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And you even got to look out for a guy named KJ Osborne, who's made a bit of an impact on that offense for the Vikings. So I think we're going to see a lot of points for sure.
What do you make of the Seahawks after that game? Because they're up 17-7. They end up losing, as you pointed out, 30-17. They go 23-0, the Vikings do. But it's a team that it feels like you watch them, and for half the game, they can score at will. And then for half of a game, they can't even get a first down.
In previous week, they were up 24-7, Shuck.
Against
at home against Tennessee.
Yeah, they're Jekyll and Hyde. They are a first-half dynamo and a shell of what they are offensively in the second half. They went scoreless last week. They only scored, I think, 7 points or 6 points in the second half the week before. They can't put anything together in the offensively in the second half. I don't know if that's a matter of they play 2 teams that are good at making halftime adjustments, or if it's just they can't rediscover their mojo that they get going in the first half. It's almost like a team that shocked you out of the gate, and then once you recover and get back up and shake off the cobwebs or whatever, you realize, oh wait, I can fight with this team. And the last 2 teams have proven that. It took the Titans overtime to end up getting that win, but it's concerning if you look at them offensively. And part of the reason is their defense can't get off the field in the second half. They couldn't get off the field last week. They struggled to do so against the Titans the week before. So they're not playing complementary football. Their offense, their defense isn't doing them any favors, but I'm still more concerned about their lack of an ability to move the ball, because down the stretch last year, this is exactly who they were. They were a team that had all this offensive firepower, and it just disappeared, and it's disappearing a lot earlier in second halves of the game so far.
Yeah, it certainly is. Nick, I wanted to ask you about the one tonight. It's fascinating for us in Ohio. Obviously, the urban connection is there. But this is a big one for both. I mean, the Bengals could get to 3-1 in a quarter of the season, and I realize we're playing an odd number of games now, but forever, as you know, it was in quarters. So a 3-1 first quarter of the season for them would be mammoth. And for Jacksonville, they've lost 18 in a row consecutively, and you say to yourself, boy, at some point you got to win, or you feel that thing could fester. Who's tonight bigger for?
Well, that's tough because Jacksonville could. I mean, it's big because they need a win. Every game is big for them because they're winless. But the Bengals lose the Jaguars, and all of a sudden, all that good energy that you're getting off of that Steelers win kind of goes up in smoke. So, and you're at home, and you're on prime time, and they're debuting their orange jerseys and all this stuff. So I think it's probably still bigger for the Bengals because they need to build on that positive momentum that they got from last week. I mean, they talked a good amount of trash after beating the Steelers, kind of telling everybody, hey, we're not the Bengals of old. You need to put some respect on our name. Well, people aren't going to respect you if you lose to the Jaguars. So I think it's definitely a bigger one for them.
Well, they had some whooping on the sideline the previous week, too, with Chase and Burrow talking to Zach Taylor saying, hey, man, we got to take some shots. And then they did against Pittsburgh. So I'm with you. I think they're kind of hanging on a thread a little bit there. Could go a lot of ways.
What do you make of the AFC North now?
Well, it's an interesting division. I think it's actually going exactly as we anticipated. I mean, maybe a little bit of a difference between the Bengals and the Steelers, but, I mean, we talked about this before the season. I thought it'd be a close race between the Browns and the Ravens, and the Steelers end up either third or potentially even fourth. You have a division in transition with the mainstay of the Steelers, I think, starting to show their signs of decline. Obviously, defensive injuries have not helped their efforts so far, but Ben Roethlisberger, as I think all of us expected, is not the quarterback that he once was. It's just that simple, and they can't move the ball offensively either. I mean, last week their one touchdown drive took over 8 minutes, and it included some no huddle. I mean, that's how the pace that they're moving at right now. It's a snail's pace. So, I mean, the Browns are in a good spot, and I think the Ravens could very easily be 1-2 if they hadn't come back and beaten the Chiefs in the way that they did. So I think the Browns could be sitting in a tie for first place right now, and instead they're right in the thick of it, and it's going to be competitive, but I do like the Browns' chances still.
They could be 0-3. I mean, it took the longest kick in NFL history plus a 4th and 19 conversion to beat the Lions. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire holds on to the football, they could be on, but they're not.
They're not.
And that's going to go a long way, and I think you saw the relief in the way they reacted to that historic kick by Justin Tucker.
Well, and Shuck, the thing that's crazy about Roethlisberger is, like, you don't know it's gone until it's gone.
And it is gone.
And it's gone. I mean, it's clear. It's gone.
Happened with Breeze, too.
And
it's just gone.
And with a lot of guys, it goes fast, and it goes drastically. I mean, it's a steep fall off the cliff, and I don't know if – because you saw this last year with him really down the stretch, and then they came back and won against Buffalo in Week 1, and everything was fine and dandy. What a big win for the Steelers. But at the same time, they scored 16 offensive points. They scored 17 offensive points the week after that, and then they scored 10 last week. They cannot score, and if you can't score in this league and your defense is too injured to be the strength of your team, you're in a bad spot. And if your quarterback's old and showing signs of his age and throwing bad interceptions, which he threw on Sunday against the Bengals, you're in a bad spot.
At least he figured out the check down.
Little check down. Give me a little check down.
We'll take 14. We'll take all those catches in PPR.
Take all those catches, man.
Keep losing and just check it down to Najee.
Always good talking to you, buddy. Be well.
Nick Shuck. Hold on, Nick Shuck. Before you go, I have one question for you. How's Madden 22 treating you?
It's good. Our league is, I think, 14 or 15 members strong. We're moving along pretty well, and the game plays well for the most part. They've had to make some adjustments. Some guys are struggling, man. Passing is a different animal than it used to be, but it's a blast as always.
Why do you say the passing's different? I didn't notice that difference from 20, but I'm not a connoisseur like you.
He's a competitive player.
Well, what are you playing it on?
I don't know, against my kids mostly.
He's probably playing on All-Pro.
No,
You're playing on All-Pro?
I'm asking, what system,
the second one. The second toughest.
Xbox.
Yeah, the Xbox Series X. The second, not all Madden, the one right below it.
All-Pro.
Oh, yeah, of course. Because, the next-gen version of the game moves differently. They based it off of next-gen stats, which that got me all excited. But, throwing. You got to throw into windows instead of open guys now, or you'll get it picked off. And a lot of people are struggling with that. I struggle with it at times. Some defenses play uniquely and others don't, and you got to adjust accordingly. But it's all about how you can read a defense and break it down,
So if I jump up to Madden, then I got to throw to Windows? That's the difference? Because I didn't notice a difference going from how my kids play it to all whatever the one below Madden.
All-Pro. But competitive's on All-Pro, isn't it?
I mean, it's competitive, but I haven't played touched all pro in years, but not to sound like that.
No, I like that you sound like that. I think the ball's not going to spike itself, Shuck.
I think when they play competitive, though, like in the competitive modes, it is on all pro, or it might be on all men. I don't know. I mean, when I play the draft, I don't know what they play that on the MUT draft, which is what I play most of the time. Just go get it.
Yeah, you're on a competitive mode. That's more about stick skills and simulation. But in our league, we run simulation because we're all about building the roster, developing the guys, that kind of thing.
Incredible. Where's your roster right now? Where are you in the standings?
We are the best team in terms of overall, which is surprising because we have some needs to fill. We have a ways to go, but I was surprised to see the other day that we have the best overall team so far. I mean, the Browns fan, you got to credit Andrew Berry. He set him up really well. It's pretty easy to go in there and make a few tweaks to your liking, and all of a sudden you got the best team in the league.
That's
you
right.
go.
That is.
That's right.
Always good talking to you, buddy.
Nick Shuck.
All right, guys.
The great Nick Shuck joining us on the hotline. Gambling without setting limits on how much you're going to wager, how long you'll play is like a football team going into a game without a game plan. It's probably going to end up in a loss, kids. So always set limits before you bet. Get more tips like this at keepitfunohio.com. Our offense versus the Vikings defense with the good doctor coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If your Social Security benefits have been denied, call the disability lawyers at 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for the matchup. Our offense versus the Vikings defense. And for that, we bring in Dr. Z.
All right, this is a defense that statistically is not doing so well. They come into this game 28th at 409.7 yards per game. They're allowing 6.83 yards per play, second most in the NFL. They're 20th against the run, 27th against the pass. They're giving up 9.1 yards per pass attempt, second worst, 4.8 yards per carry, fifth worst. So this is a very, very generous team. But what they can do is get after the quarterback. 10.5% of the dropbacks result in sacks. That's fifth best in the NFL. We're second, no big deal. But this has not been a good defense. Ironically, they've been great on third downs, and I wonder if that was buttressed by what the Seahawks did in the second half. But they're only allowing conversions on 29% of third down so far, third best, but they're one of the worst red zone defenses, 75% conversion in the red zone. Lots of names you know, stars at all three levels. Up front, Danielle Hunter already has 4 sacks on the season. They brought in Michael Pierce in the middle from the Baltimore Ravens. They've got Eric Kendricks, the linebacker, who has been a stud. Harrison Smith, the safety, has been great. And then from the cornerback position, there are a lot of names that you know. Patrick Peterson, Bashad Breeland, Mackenzie Alexander. These are all early draft picks. They have stunk their corners. When their corners have been targeted, these are Pro Football Focus numbers. Their top 3 corners, and these guys have played. Pat Pete's played all 183 defensive snaps. Breeland's played 159, and Mackenzie Alexander's played 138. That's their slot. So they've been out there. Combined, they have allowed 38 completions on 45 targets. That's 84%. For 577 yards and 6 touchdowns. Quarterback rating when they are targeted, Pat Pete, 157.9. Bashad Breeland, 157.2. Mackenzie Alexander, 118.8. So this team needs to win shootouts. Wide receivers have victimized them all year long. And for the Browns, that's what you need. That's what you're hoping happens because, frankly, that's how you're going to beat this team. That's why I think in many ways this one has an opportunity to be a shootout, partially because their defense is not great. But, look, Danielle Hunter, he is a problem. He can get to the quarterback. He's got 4. Pierce has 2 on the season. Those are the guys up front. It's a good front still, even though the back end is lacking right now.
One pushback I'll give you on that is they played the Bengals, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. I would argue that those 3 teams, from a quarterback receiver standpoint, are all top 10 in the league.
They're good, but
this is incredible.
They're not 84%.
But they have
good.
played. No, I agree. But they have played 3 teams that can all spin it.
Yes.
At high levels. So they played really good passing teams to this point in the season. I think you can put all 3 of those. Team. That's what I'm saying. I think it all backs up for what should be a big day for 6 and the receivers, certainly. It should play that way. Your best matchup of the day?
Best matchup is going to be, from our standpoint, I think it's our receivers against these corners. But from their standpoint, they're going to need Danielle Hunter against Jack Conklin, Jed Wills. I mean, Danielle Hunter has been a stud. Griffin got his first sack since returning last week for them. But Danielle Hunter is the straw that stirs the drink. He has 16 pressures. They have 49 as a team. Nobody else has more than 6. He has 16 on his own. So Danielle Hunter is the guy that is the disruptor, and he's the one that we've got to account for. He's the focus for this Browns offense in slowing him down.
I was curious what so Mixon was 29 for 127 against them week 1.
Yes.
So that's because the other 2 teams don't really have much of an interest in running the ball, but the Bengals did. They ran it 36 times for 150 in the game. Burrow was 20 at 27, 261 in the game.
I think that's part of it. And, when we get later on into the week and we get into, what we would call the winning mix and things of that nature, I do think leaning on the ground game is important for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can run the football on this team. And as I talked about earlier, they're giving up 4.8 yards per carry. They are a generous run defense. Teams have not really tried to run all that much against him. Every running back who has picked up at least 12 carries against them, which would just be Mixon, who had 127 and a touchdown week 1. Chris Carson, week 2, had 12 carries for 80, or last week, had 12 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. So anybody who's got 12 carries has got at least 80 yards and a touchdown rushing against them. So I think we definitely can lean on that against this team. And it also keeps Cousins and Cook and Jefferson and Thielen watching rather than playing.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. How many points do we have to score to win?
I think it's 27 is the minimum, but I think you want to see a 3 there. That's what I think. I think you want a 3, and that's I think in fact if we get into the winning mix, because I have written it already for the week. I'm pretty sure the
little look ahead.
The last thing I said is because I believe you need to score at least 30 to take down the sneaky good Vikings. So yes, 30.
Yep. Yeah, that is what it seems like. This one could be this could be a lot, and I by no means am I comparing them to Kansas City, because I think there's a level that Kansas City's on that's separate, and I think we can all acknowledge that. But it does have the feel of we had 3 turnovers against Kansas City and lost. They had none. It could be that simple. This really could be. It could be. You're at their place. It's going to be loud. It's going to be raucous. They're a desperate team. They can move the ball offensively. They're going to try to be disruptive. Both teams, our defense is much better than theirs, but they are a defense that can be opportunistic and can create turnovers. When you have Danielle Hunter, when you have some of the names you mentioned, you have some ball hawks. And so turnover, I think that's going to be that's football in general, not reinventing the wheel, but it's that close in terms of when you give them the advantage of playing at their place. We're favored by 2 points in this game, so that tells you how close it is.
Listen, we have never lost a game in which we have not committed a turnover under head coach Kevin Stefanski.
Oh, there you go.
Ever. Never. So
that's
if we
remarkable
play with a clean sheet, we win. That has been our history. Now this is a Vikings team that they only have 2 takeaways on the season, but they only have 1 giveaway, which was a fumble in week 1. So they don't turn it over.
Right.
Cousins, as we talked about earlier, 200 straight without an interception. That'll be when we talk about our defense against their offense. But I think you need to put up 30. You need to take care of the football, and you need to be attacking on offense. I don't think this is a game where you're just trying to run the clock down. You've got to be attacking, and I think those receivers against their corners, we've talked about that. Pat Pete's lost a step. I mean, I don't think there's everybody I think is well aware of that. We need to attack that and be smart with the football. And when those plays are there and they present themselves, because they will, we need to challenge them and hope and come out with big plays and points, touchdowns. This is a 7, not 3 game.
One of the men very much in charge of what we do offensively is our offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt. We will hear from him next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Folks, EOX Vantage has that local presence with the global footprint, trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. This is a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Tom Daugherty. He's the Senior Vice President of Specialty Programs at the NIP Group. He says, quote, I have a saying about working with EOX Vantage. If you dream it, they can build it. We generate lots of ideas for them to carry out. They've implemented everything we've come up with. We brainstorm ways to innovate and improve our company. We use EOX Vantage for their infrastructure, coding, programming capabilities, the technological expertise, and that experience working with the global brands. We're absolutely thrilled with our partnership, and you can learn more, and you will be thrilled by EOX Vantage by visiting them, www.eoxvantage.com, or call 216-298-1616. Again, that's 216-298-1616. All right, time to head to the podium. Our offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt.
Did it look?
You guys are down 7.5.
Have OBJ and Baker in the, without Landry. How would you review it?
That's what we expected. I thought Odell came in, caught the balls that were thrown to him his way, and he looked really good running routes. Drew coverage his way, which helps us in a lot of different ways in the run game and the pass game as well. So he definitely had an impact out there, and we expected that to continue.
Was it just me, or did it seem like Baker all day long was looking for a home run to him for the opportunity? It never came, and he never forced it. But
right.
Was that kind of in the back of their minds?
Yeah, I think so. We had some plays that were plays to Odell that that weren't there, but we have to make good decisions as quarterbacks and just run the offense. I think Baker did a nice job of doing that.
So just to finish up, was that a sign of his growth, the quarterback?
I definitely think so. I think so. I mean, obviously we got to get the ball in our best players' hands, and Odell's one of those guys, but not at the expense of jeopardizing the offense and the system. So, I think that's some growth in that area for sure. But will continue to be a big part of this offense moving forward, and he'll continue to have more catches and more production as the year goes on.
It looks like you're going to have Chris Hubbard back in this game. Is there any thought to giving Jed a week off, because it seems like he's not 100% with that ankle?
Yeah, not many guys are at 100% this time of year. It's just that is football, and no, I think Jed will be just fine. Hopefully this week, and we understand he's playing on one leg at times, but he continues to get better each week through treatment. So it'd always be great to have Hub back for the depth, but whoever's out there, we expect them to play well, and Jed did the best he could while he was in there last week, but he's continuing to get better and to heal each week.
So is it a matter, there's no delicate way to ask, but just him playing hurt is better than an alternative option? Is that what it comes down to?
Yeah, that's Coach Callahan and Coach Stefanski's area there, and those guys discussed that during the week. But I really appreciate, again, Jed's effort to get out there and be there for his teammates.
Go ahead,
you guys had some chances at the beginning of the game last week and didn't hook up. Was Baker too amped, or what do you think happened?
That happens. You go into a game, any game like that, you want to start fast. We didn't start fast. He had a couple errant throws early, but really settled in. That's part of football. I don't know how amped up he was. More than any other game that he is, because that's who he is. But that's just part of playing football.
Alex, it really felt like the Bears were keyed in on Nick last week, and that happens, right?
Sure.
What did the lift that Kareem gave you mean?
Oh, man. I mean, those two guys are my favorites. I mean, they complement each other so well. Just different running styles, but extremely effective. And that's the beauty of having both of those guys. I thought Kareem had a heck of a game, both in the pass game and running the football. So having those two guys on your sideline is just it's a treat.
We talked to a lot of people this week about it. You ever seen anything like it?
It is definitely fun to watch. There's body parts flying everywhere. He's in the air, but he's always doing it with great ball security, which we appreciate.
Alex, going back to Jed real quick. A lot of people have stood up here and praised him for playing through that injury. Was that almost like a point of emphasis for him, or something that you guys kind of, like one of those things you just wanted to see him kind of tough out?
Yeah, any young player, they're going to be not as excited to play when they're just dinged. And it's knowing the difference between when you're, injured or when you're just, you're hurting. Like I said, a lot of people are hurting that go out there and they play. It's part of the growth of a young player to understand the difference of the two and be there for his teammates. Again, it is growth in the right direction for him.
Alex, you and Kevin obviously both worked for a bunch of other coaches with a bunch of different systems. So when you guys got together, how do you go about blending that into your offense?
You know, we did it collectively. I mean, there's a little bit of everything. A lot of it's obviously West Coast based, which we both had, you know, an upbringing in the system. There's stuff in there from Green Bay. There's stuff from, you know, from Washington and everything that Coach Callahan's done in the run game. So it's a nice blend of it all. It's our offense together, and that's how we put it in collectively.
Alex Odell played over 50 plays in that, and Coach Stefanski did say he had a set number. It was just conversation between you, all of you, really, to get him in. Were you shocked that he played that much? And you did say he was exhausted after the game,
Yeah.
maybe too much?
You know, it's those juices get going, and you're in the middle of a game, and it's a 7-point game in the fourth quarter. You want your best players out there, and you know, I'm sure if we'd have taken him off the field at that point, he would have been upset with us. So, yeah, it was a lot of plays for O. He did feel it after the game, but I think as the season goes on, he'll, you know, be in better football shape. His legs will come back quicker, and he'll be able to play longer for us.
It is encouraging, though, that it was his first game and he did come out relatively well playing that much.
Yeah, absolutely. Very happy about that.
Did you see signs of growth? We've talked to you so many times about Baker and Odell, getting routes off to the side, working out together, different places in the country.
Yep.
Did you see any progress? I mean, I know it was really early.
Yes, very much so. The first 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12, whatever that long yardage play was, that's a play that was timing. It was thrown as he was coming out of the break, and that's something they've done over and over again, you know, in the spring and through the summer in training camp. So definitely see the fruits of their labor.
You said you could tell Chicago's paying whatever extra attention to Odell and it opened things up for everybody else. Did you assume that that's how they would approach him, or did you not know because he'd missed so much time?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how teams would, you know, would look at him at that point, coming back after, you know, half a year off. But obviously, he demands respect out there with the coverage element, and they did have a safety over top of him a lot of the day, whether he was on the weak side by himself or on the strong side with the other receivers.
And when you guys use him on an end around, the productive play, what does that do for the rest of your run game moving forward?
Yeah, that's a good part about our run game. We have a lot of guys that can do good things for us. We handed Schwartzy off one in Kansas City, got positive yards. Odell, you know, Demetric can do things with the ball in his hands. So it definitely it takes a little pressure off the runners in the run game to be able to spread that production around with other players.
Peoples Jones' skill on the sideline, is it special?
It is. You know, Donovan is a guy that makes great contested catches. You know, he has really good ball skills, and he was excellent with his feet that day. But that's something that we expect from him, and that's something he's shown, you know, consistently over his time here.
30.
I think Hoop's the only regular target whose yards per reception is under 10. What does that say about where the offense is when you have everybody, their average is 10 or more yards per catch?
You know, we're stretching the field. You know, we have the guys that can do that now. We have the speed to stretch it. You know, with our vertical pass game, hitting the second and third levels on defenses, we have those guys that can get that done. That's a good thing for us.
You're up.
Look, it's a fun offensive game, man.
Yeah, there are going to be opportunities to score points in this one, and we've got an excellent offense. We just told you about some of the leaks in that Vikings defense that statistically is not good. They've gone against good offenses, but it's not like Cincinnati's gone out there and lit people up.
No, they've been efficient. I mean,
Efficient.
Burrow's completing them. I mean, he had the interceptions against Chicago, but up until that point,
Yeah, they
they've been
got
efficient.
smoked by Chicago's D.
They did. Well, their offensive line can't hold up, but they do have.
They have weapons.
They have big time weapons. Yeah. So,
Oh,
but
they
so
got to
do
play
we.
without T. Higgins again tonight.
Is he down?
Again, second
Bates is
straight
down
game.
today too.
Ooh. Oh. It's a pretty big. It's a sizable number.
It's a big deal, Coach. It is sizable.
Could Marvin Jones show up right behind us with that?
Where could he be? Where could he be?
At the door.
Who knows?
By the way, if you pay attention to the scores, whenever I summon somebody at the back door, they're always on my fantasy team.
Always.
That is who I'm willing into the late cover touchdown.
Always want that late cover touchdown.
It's somebody associated with my team.
If your game plan for this includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services has you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. We flip the script. We do our defense versus their offense coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns fans can win big with the original digital scratch-off game brought to you by Ohio Lottery on clevelandbrowns.com and the Browns social channels. Fans can play once per day throughout the season by digitally scratching off a virtual card for chances to win great prizes like team shop gift cards and tickets to future games. For more information, log on to promotions.clevelandbrowns.com. I got one on social. I should hook in the wheel in the pro shop on this down at the stadium. A guy was coming in from Denver and wanted a Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah 75th anniversary one, and he was wondering if there were any at the pro shop. I don't think that there are, and I think you also that one we can't customize, right?
Why not?
I don't think you can customize that one at the pro shop, can you?
Why not?
Well, I know you can do the white and the brown, but I don't know that you can do the 75th.
You can through the pro shop, through the online shop. The team
well, they
shop.
wouldn't let on the online team shop.
Yeah.
Okay, online team shop from our app.
Let me see. I'm going to hop into
Pull it up before we promise this man. He's coming in from Denver, wants a Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Why wouldn't
And I think the reason what got it started is I said I'd like one of those for the boots because he wanted one, but I didn't know how you get
Brown shop,
Owusu-Koramoah.
1946 collection.
By the way, it's unnerving when you open our app and then we show up.
Yeah.
I just opened the app.
Yeah, we're
and
right there.
We are. Oh, yeah. That's us, yeah.
Men's Nike white Cleveland Browns 1946 collection alternate custom jersey. It's $150, and it's select player. Let's see if he's in here. I mean, why wouldn't he be? LMN. Oh, he is not currently listed as one of the customizable options. Only he. You can get a Miller Forrestal 86, and I'm very familiar with this team.
Holy cow, look at all these guys.
And I'm pretty sure Miller Forrestal's on
I think it's because of how long it's certainly because of the length of his name.
That's not cool.
It ain't cool, but I'm telling you, I think that's what's happened.
Or number name. 10 characters you're limited to.
Yeah.
So you'd have to just put a J-O-K.
Yeah, but you don't want that. You could now the pro shop can do them in. They can do the brown one, and the white one.
In his,
I'm pretty sure because a buddy of mine has one. As a Notre Dame grad, he's got one. He's got a brown one, I believe. And I think they did. I think they did that down there.
I would call ahead.
Yeah, I would call ahead. Yeah. Well, they listen to this show down there. Someone down there can give us a call. We're all friends.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
People help people.
Yeah.
All right, let's meet their defense versus, speaking of Mr. Owusu-Koramoah, let's meet our defense versus their offense. And for that, we bring in Dr. Z.
This is a good offense, folks. As bad as their defense statistically was offensively, they are elite. Third, 425 yards per game. 10th in yards per play, 6th in rushing yards per game, 8th in yards per carry, 7th in passing yards per game. They have the best interception rate in the NFL, 0, because they have not thrown one. They've only been sacked on 4% of their dropbacks, 6th best in the NFL. They're averaging 24.7 first downs a game, 4th best in the NFL. They're 11th in third down conversion rate. They are solid in the red zone. They possess the